What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report. So today we actually have some more good news. We also have some very historic news that in no way is good for the American people. Here's what we're going to go over today. First thing, we're going to talk about what has happened over the past 24 hours. One just happened this morning, and we now have the new PCE report. This is a inflationary gauge that the Fed uses. So this is big. We will go over what this said today. The other news, which is historic, is that former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York. This is the first time in history that a former president has been indicted. So let's get to the good news first. Before I do, all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's begin. So let's start off with the PCE report. What is this? Well, PCE stands for Personal Consumption Expenditures. Now, the price index, excluding food and energy, increased by 0.3%. That's actually pretty good. 0.3%. This is less than estimated, which was 0.4%. Again, this is also down from January's numbers as well. So even though we are seeing a slight increase of 0.3%, it is less than what we were expecting. That is part of the good news. Now, this is one of the key gauges that the Federal Reserve uses to determine what they are going to do as far as raising, lowering, or pausing all interest rate hikes. So this is one of their gauges that they use to determine inflation. Now, one of the things that they monitor here is wage growth. And I want to be very clear on this. Even though wage growth at this time isn't showing a possibility of a wage price spiral, that's what the Federal Reserve continues to look at. They also want to make sure that we are seeing some growth and not a decline. Now, based on this report, there's no indication of a wage price spiral, even though wages have increased. So this is actually very good news. Now, I want to give you a little bit more information here, so I want to give you a little bit of the numbers. In January, compensation of employees rose by 0.9%. That's actually very high, okay? That's very high because that's, a little bit over 11% annualized? Well, last month, it only rose by 0.3%, a third of what it did in January. That's good because annualized, that's only 3.6%. So that is pretty much in line with our expectations. Now, this is why a slight increase is still considered a good thing, okay? Because we do need to continue to see our wages go up slightly, but not 10 to 11% per year. No, that's just way too high. And that right there, we could actually see runaway wage spiral. And so that's something that we don't want. Also, wages and salaries came in as the exact same thing. They were at 0.9% in January, and last month they came at 0.3%. Again, that's good news. We're not seeing a wage price spiral. Okay? And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't we want our wages to increase as much as possible so that we can continue to pay for food and energy and all these other things? Well, the reason why you don't want this is because if your wages go up, that's great. But when your wages go up, companies believe you have more money to spend on their goods, on their services. So we actually bump up the cost of goods and services. Well, then when you feel, oh, we're getting squeezed, it's a little bit tight, then it's like, okay, well, now you got to come in and ask your employer, hey, I need a raise because I got to pay for these things. And then they give you a raise, and then companies do it again. And so up and up and up and up. That's where the wage price spiral comes in. Okay? So that is something that we want to stay far away from. And as of right now, it looks like we are. Okay. Now let's talk about the historic news. And the reason, and I want to be very clear on this, okay? It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're from some other country. It doesn't matter. Having this historic event where a former president has been indicted for the first time in history, not just him, any president, that's concerning. Okay. The other reason why this is concerning is because of the reason why he became indicted. Now we'll have more of the reports on that in the near future. Right now we don't have everything, but President Trump, former President Donald Trump, has been indicted by a New York grand jury. Now, the most common question that I've received over the past 24 hours, really 12, 16 hours, ever since it was really released yesterday, is can former President Donald Trump still be elected president? The answer to that, the short answer is yes. And in order to become president, you only have to meet a certain set of requirements, okay, outlined in the Constitution. Those are, you gotta be 35 years old. You must be a natural born citizen, and you have to have lived in the United States for at least the past 14 years. That's it. But as former President Trump continues his campaign for president, I'm just going to tell you, you can be assured that Democrats are going to continue to bring up this indictment to the voters. Democrats have just branded the former president as a criminal. That's what they're doing. But in the end, it's going to be the voters that decide whether this indictment even matters. So whether you care about this whole event or not, okay, understand what we are going to see as Trump, former President Donald Trump, tries to campaign for the election in 2024. Democrats are going to push people into that direction. They're going to use his mugshot. They're going to use every single thing they can in order to bring him down. Okay, we've seen this. Okay, now I want you to listen to a quote from former President Donald Trump as well. Here's what he said, and I quote, "From the time I came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your President of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of hardworking men and women of this country, have been engaged in a witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great Again movement. The Democrats lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession to trying to get Trump, but now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference." This is what we're going to get, okay? Because obviously the last election, there was a lot of questions there. And so now we're already getting the talks and stuff about election interference. That was before this quote by former President Donald Trump. So now that we're already getting the discussions, and now he brings it up again, that indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference. This is not what we need moving into the election year of 2024. This isn't what we need. So one of the other questions I get, not the most common question, but one of the other questions is, what happens next? Well, here's what's going to happen. It is expected that former President Donald Trump will surrender sometime next week. Okay? So he's going to surrender, and at that time, he will be read his Miranda rights. He will then be taken into custody, where he will be fingerprinted, he will get his mugshot, and all this is likely to be done with his Secret Service detail by his side. Because as a former president, you get Secret Service for life. You get protection. Now, once this happens, I don't know what it's going to look like. Okay? I don't know if there's going to be a mob of people outside waiting to see. I know there's going to be reporters trying to get his picture, whether he's going to be hidden from the public. I don't know. Okay? We won't know until that day comes. But this is a historic event. Doesn't matter, again, which side you're on. This is a historic event. Okay? So, as soon as we get more information as to what goes on, whether it's with the Trump indictment, him surrendering, has to do with inflation, whatever, I promise I will bring you the latest news and updates. All you got to do is two things. First, all I ask is if you hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video. The second thing is make sure you click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Because again, I bring you 2 to 3 videos every single day, fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, I'll see you guys on the next one.